Sell your home for more, and remember the real estate golden rule.
Some good, some not so good.
Always get more.
Okay.
Afraid of sold a house, privately.
I saw that you sent that.
Thomas Toole III.
$2 million. That's what we're telling you all the time.
Yeah.
Probably could have gotten more.
It's
Yeah.
management for BZ Media.
Good afternoon, Greater Philadelphia area. This is Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Timon. We both work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Mainline, the number one RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And we are going to be breaking down the housing impacts of the big, beautiful bill. What a ridiculous name for a bill, by the way. It's just so out of control.
So ridiculous.
It's like a marketing campaign. I get it. So we're going to talk about that first and foremost, because there is some stuff about housing that could impact your plans later in the year, and also impact some homeowners with some of these tax deductions. Then we've got the DC 33 workers strike. I haven't gotten any news about this today, but if you live in Philadelphia, you know what we're talking about, because there is trash everywhere. And I can't imagine that's imagine you have an open house this weekend and there's trash piled up all over the place. So we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
And we've got 5 incredible listings coming to the market this weekend, as well as some great open houses. So if you get some value out of this, or you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the channel. You can hit the bell for notifications. And if you want to schedule a call with our team, you can do that and talk to Sarah specifically with the link in the comments. So the big, beautiful bill. This was all over the news. People were typically on one side or the other of this thing. And the challenge with it is there's so much stuff in there. I think there's some things everyone can probably get behind with some of the housing impacts that are here. And this was all signed into law on July 4th during a White House picnic. And NAR, the National Association of Realtors, they praised the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, and for a couple of reasons. So I'll break this down, Sarah. I want to get your reaction. So there's a permanent extension of lower individual income tax rates, a permanent 20% qualified business income deduction, a 5-year, 4-fold increase, moving from $10,000 to $40,000 to the state and local SALT deduction. So if you don't know what the SALT deduction is, the SALT deduction, what it stands for is it's part of property taxes, and it's a cap on property tax deductions based on income levels. So that's what that really means. And the last component of this, or two, is continued protection for the business SALT deductions and the 1031 like-kind exchanges. That's obviously pretty important for real estate. And a permanent extension of the mortgage interest deduction. So you can deduct some of the mortgage interest you pay every year. So there's some tax stuff here that's going to affect real estate. What's your initial reaction to the real estate portions? Because everyone's got an opinion about all these different things in this bill. There's too much in there. That's why it's called the big bill.
Right. So this was the only portion that we're discussing right now.
You can talk about whatever you want. I don't care.
No, I don't know all of the ins and outs of it, but those were the real estate pieces.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess the 1031 tax exchange is something that does obviously come up if you're an investor, if you've got properties that you're able to qualify and do a 1031 tax exchange, then certainly that's going to be important. I know some about them. I've had clients that we've tried to piece things together, and then ultimately I don't think I've officially done one. But I think that sounds interesting for the tax for your income.
Well, it's the capital gains on tax on any realized gain for a property. So I've only had a handful of people do these things. They're not the most common, but when you sell an investment property, right, and you're out of there 2 out of the past 5 years, or 3 out of the past 5 years, well, then you're subject to capital gains on whatever you make on the property. So a lot of folks, they'll buy a property and then rent it out after they live there. And then all of a sudden they go to sell it and they got this big capital gains tax they're going to pay. So I'm hoping that might ease some investors that want to get out of the market. Now it's complicated because it depends how many properties they own, but that to me is something that's always been really important in real estate. So I'm glad that there's a permanent extension there. I mean, that's certainly a positive.
Right. And then what was the part about taxes for like specifically, was there a cap for your income level?
Yeah, so it's the SALT stands for state and local taxes.
Okay.
So your property taxes that you pay, and the SALT deduction, really what it did was that the deduction cap went from 10,000 to 40,000 for homes earning up to $500,000 a year through 2029. So you look around some of the places around here, I'd imagine you've probably fallen into this boat. Any like single family home, your taxes are easily above $10,000 for the most part. And so now there's a deduction there, which, I don't think this is going to bringing more buyers to the market isn't necessarily what we need, but I think it's going to cause some households, even like new construction, the taxes are always super high. So you can, if you're making less than 500 grand a year, you can deduct those state and local income taxes because you're already paying a tax.
Right.
So it's like you're getting taxed like double on it because you own the property.
So that's like when you go and do your taxes.
Yeah,
at the end of the
exactly.
year. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I think that's going to help a lot of folks in terms of like affordability because, there's a lot of people that they weren't sure about that deduction and I got nervous. I mean, you look at places along the main line, right? Median home values are in Montgomery County and Lower Merion are 750,000. They have a property tax rate of about 1.8% with the county and the township. So your average home's property taxes are around like 14 grand right away. Radnor's in the same boat. I mean, you can go down to Drexel Hill. I mean, and then there's some places like Tredeff and Easttown has lower taxes because they got a bigger tax base. So I think that is going to see a surge in price appreciation in some of those areas because they can leverage the tax savings.
Interesting. Yeah, this will be the first year that obviously that I guess you can go in and do it. So it'll be interesting come like next year's tax time, how that kind of all trickles in.
Sure. Well, I think what I see happening here is that you could see some people feel more comfortable extending their budgets a little bit because everyone's really, affordability is such an issue right now. And, there's going to be folks that the median income in our marketplace is like $90,000 a year, right? Chester, Delaware, Montgomery County. So you get two income earners there. It's called 200 grand a year. Well, they're going to qualify for this. So that might help them, open things up along with rates coming down. I think there's some things moving in buyers' favor right now. So that's pretty positive. There's also the mortgage interest deduction at $750,000, and it makes mortgage insurance premiums, so like PMI, FHA, MIP deductible. What do you think about that? Is that going to help anybody? I think it's what's your analysis there? Because I think having that cap on the mortgage interest deduction for some of these lower price points could also help some folks get into the market.
Yeah, so you're still paying it. It's just then you can deduct it come time to do taxes.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's something that will it will help. And for buyers that like fall into those categories there, like it's something that I think will incentivize, but the fact that you still have to pay it and then deduct it later, you would still have to be able to afford to put so you're going to be able to yes, you're going to get money back or like you're going to be able to use that as a deduction down the line, but deduction doesn't equal like dollar savings.
Yeah, you're right.
And you still would need it. You still have to plan for your, you still have to factor all of that into your monthly budget. And then it's kind of like a little, not kickback, but it's something that you can use to your benefit come tax time. But as far as actually impacting, what makes a home affordable for somebody and for those if it all always comes down to monthly payment for affordability, you still have to put that in.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to. You don't think this is like a magic bullet here, right? Because you still got to pay the money. People think oh, I'm going to save money on taxes, or I'm going to do that. You're only getting. If you're in the 25% tax bracket, well, you're only saving 25% of that, whatever the deduction is, off the amount. So it's really not a whole lot. It's just it's a lower tax rate that you're paying, effectively in terms of a cumulative amount of your taxes due every year.
Yeah, I think it's a nice, when you go to do your taxes, it'll be oh, cool. But I don't think it's going to actually really make a huge impact for what that means for affordability for people.
I agree. I think that's an important way to look at this. I think for some people it'll help, but it's not going to be anything too dramatic. You've also got some people that might get hurt here. And what I'm a little worried about is that the energy efficient home credit, that's gone after the end of this year. There's some tax credits that are going away, and you're adding a lot of money to the deficit here. It's 2.7 trillion is getting added to the deficit, which, obviously that's a challenge, especially with this jobs report that came out, where a lot of the jobs were government jobs that were supposed to be eliminated. So I don't think this is going to do too much to housing. I think that some people are going to benefit, but I think there's going to be a gap that gets widened here between the people kind of that are struggling to get into like first time buyer properties and like the really affluent folks that are in some of these higher priced properties. That's just my observation here.
But so they took away a bunch of the like energy credits.
Yeah. So there's they have the new energy efficient home credit. So I mean, that's, if you look at like new construction, where a lot of builders, might raise prices, they always are. You're gonna, anytime you put in like windows and new things, I mean, it's a little complicated. But again, I think if you're relying on tax credits, you're making a bad financial decision.
Right. I'd agree.
So, what do you think overall? Is this going to impact anything when it comes to housing? I mean, what do you think is going to happen here?
Honestly, I don't know that I really think that it will. Just like for those pieces that you mentioned, because again, like you have to look at what you need monthly to be able to afford the home on its face, and then if there are deductions or credits, whether you're getting them or not getting them. I don't know that that's something that most people are truly factoring in. Now, maybe that's something a lender discusses with them as they're like going through, like, because then I guess, so maybe that's something that like a lender is covering. But I know I don't discuss, like, even so, if there were some of these tax credits for energy efficient things that were in place that are now taken away, that's nothing that I've ever discussed with my clients in terms of, can you afford this home? So, I don't know if they're looking at that on their own or not, but I've never even had it come up.
Well, that's a really smart thing that you're doing, because you know what, you're a real estate agent, you're licensed. You know what, you're not an accountant.
Oh yeah,
right?
I do not want to be giving anybody that advice.
Well, and sometimes what happens is these people, they don't talk about things and point them in the right direction. That comes to client education. So I'm so glad you said I'm not one to give tax advice. My first thing is, I'm not an accountant. You should talk to one. It's no different than when agents start talking about like law with the agreement of sale.
Yep.
But you're doing the right thing in telling them, hey, you need to like understand this, or a lender should help you with it, because lenders obviously deal with taxes all the time. So I could not agree with you more on that.
I think that if you're relying on that to be able to have everything come together, I would maybe advise, again, you always want to have like a buffer, like, and not that people would necessarily be like, I need this credit to be able to then like get those savings to like apply it towards my future payments. But like things come up in home ownership. There are like, there's a million different things that can happen. If you're so close to the line there for whether or not this is affordable, and you're looking at those things for like to kind of tip the scale, I think you may want to like just look at the whole picture.
That is the best advice I think anyone can give to consumers, because there's some things here, like NAR got really excited, right? So they're talking about realtors across America have been at the forefront of tax reform, making sure Congress understood that home ownership's the cornerstone of the American dream, blah, blah, blah. Another NAR nonsense comment, right? And home ownership is the foundation of building wealth, which I do agree with. I think that's pretty clear across the board. So they were happy to see some of this tax reform. It's only benefiting people that are already in homes, right? That's not going to, that's where you see that immediate thing happen. They went on to say the revisions form the backbone of the real estate economy, from supporting first-time buyers and first-generation buyers. That's great. They believe that there's a lot of public support here for savings account for first-time home buyers, preserving the mortgage rate deduction. That's all fine, but you got to look at your situation, number one. So I wouldn't look at this as some like magic bullet that's going to change anything. And I'm just so clear the market's going to continue to be what it is. But I do see it loosening up a little bit, and I think it's going to bring some liquidity to the market where people aren't as afraid to make decisions as they were maybe the first half of the year.
Yeah.
All right. So we had a jobs report last week, Sarah. Right.
Woo-hoo.
So yeah, very exciting. I read it on the 4th of July. I don't know about you. That's what I was reading. The jobs actually came out Thursday, the 3rd of July. So the jobs report that came in last week, and I think it's important to kind of look at this here, is interesting because what it's done, it just basically said there's going to be no shot of a rate cut in July here because we saw total non-farm payroll employment increased by 147,000 in June, and the unemployment rate changed little at 4.1%. And the thing about it, though, is that a lot of the jobs, if you took the government jobs out of it, we would have, they led all categories with 73,000 of the 147,000 jobs that came in. So it was way higher than the estimate. I thought they were cutting all these government jobs, Sarah. What do you think happened here? This was a little surprising to me to see this jobs report come in like this.
I mean, I think that they did cut a lot and then maybe realized they needed some of them.
That could
had to rehire.
I think that's a great observation here. I mean, basically what's happened is that tells me I think we're seeing rates come down. I mean, rates have been the lowest they've been all year. The past couple of weeks, we're seeing below 7. It just tells me I think we're going to kind of see this market kind of chug along here. I do anticipate the second half is going to be a little busier than people think. I mean, what are your predictions?
Yeah, I mean, I think the fall is interesting. Like, I think that there is a time period there, like after the summer holidays kind of wrap up here, that there is always like seasonally a little bit of an uptick. So I think we'll definitely see that this year. And yeah, I think there's always business to be done. It's just, it's not always handed over to you. Although, I mean, I also feel like, regardless of the season, like you always have to work for your client. You always have to work for your clients and work to get business. Like very rarely is stuff just handed to you or just like pops up out of everywhere.
Yeah, that's a really great perspective because there's a lot of agents that don't feel that way. They're just waiting for those like, oh, hey, Sarah, we met a while ago. I'm ready to list my house and I want to buy a new one and I've already selected. That never happens. I mean,
right.
it does, like 1-2% of the time. I don't think it's very, but when you could be a dum-dum in like 2021 and just like sell a bunch of houses, which you saw a lot of people do. And now a lot of them are out of the industry. I don't know if you remember this. So this was right with your first year when you got started and you had like 6 offers get the client, and it's December. Like I remember this vividly.
Yeah.
And you had these 6 clients, and you got 5 of them under contract in December.
Yeah.
And that really demonstrates to me exactly what you're talking about. What was your mindset going through that for your clients, more so than yourself? Because I think a lot of people do get discouraged when that stuff starts to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that pretty well. There were, I think for some of the offers that we had, because they weren't like it was all super strong offers that we wrote. Like of those, like a couple of them were really strong, and those were the ones that were like harder to like have to deliver the news that we didn't get it and to like keep people positive and motivated. The other ones I expected not to get accepted, and it was kind of like, this is the learning curve. Like, this is when we see the next one, this is what we can like adjust and do differently. And we talk a lot about how like it's not uncommon for a buyer to have to lose a house before they kind of like do what needs to be done to get a house. So I think it was a combination of just keeping people positive and motivated, taking advantage of maybe like slightly less competition in December if there were some people that had kind of like, pulled out for that time frame, and then getting the people that had written offers that weren't quite as strong to get to where they needed to be.
So that great advice, number one. Sounds like they were all kind of motivated, number two, which is the most important thing.
Right.
And I think it really demonstrates as a consumer, like, don't sleep on the month of July or the month of August or the month of December, because there's going to be opportunities every month out of the year. And as we get into the second half, I think there's going to be 2 types of consumers that are out there, buyers and sellers. It's both. That's not the 2 types, but there's 2 types where there's some where their expectations are way out of line, and there's some that are going to be more open-minded to where the market's heading. And what we've seen is there was a survey that just came out that the seller's expectations versus reality, there's a growing gap. I don't know if you've seen this in the market with the clients you're working with, because sellers are expecting over asking offers, quick sales, and minimal compromises. So this survey, it's from Clever. 72% of future sellers expect offers above asking. Only
Like, all right, you want me to list your house low?
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I mean that's kind of what you have to do, because we know the data is
right.
We're
like,
seeing.
Do you want the highest number, or do you want to be able to brag that you got over the list price?
Well, it's so interesting because there's so many different ways I can go with this. So I did an interview with NBC 10, and I'll send you the interview afterwards. It's nothing you haven't heard me say before, but they had a couple on there, and they're like, we sold our home $300,000 more than the asking price. This was not a client of ours. And the first thing I said watching this is, who was your real estate agent? Because they drastically underpriced the home.
Right.
And I mean, that's a big miss. And I saw a picture of the home. I have an idea what it sold for. It's in Bryn Mawr, and probably was worth like $800 to $900. So did they price it at like $600? Like what happened here?
Yeah.
I want to do some research on this, but I'm sitting there thinking I think the agent did a horrible job.
Right.
I'm a big believer in pricing at the most recent sales, at the comparable sales, so you get activity. Because here's the stat, right? 72% of future sellers expect offers above ask. Only 42% of recent sellers got them. 77% believe they won't need to lower their price, but over 43% of sellers have made price adjustments year to date. So, I mean, there's a gap in the market here. And that's where I think a lot of agents, they just kind of like buy the listing. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about, yep. Right? Where they just, you want to list it here? Sure.
Right.
Instead of educate their clients about the numbers and trying to win based on, skill and advice. So, I mean, do you think is that gap going to widen or close as we get into the second half of the year? That's you're talking about a 30% difference of what happens here.
Yeah. I think it depends on who your agent is.
Yes.
I think it'll stay about the same.
I do too.
Yeah.
So tell us more.
So, I mean, there's different strategies when it comes to pricing the home. And when we go into a listing appointment, we present those options along with like the pros and the cons. And the seller's the one that ultimately gets to makes the decision for which way to go. Now, if they ask like, how would you recommend doing it? I will certainly give my recommendations for what I've seen, mm-hmm. Tends to bring about the best results. But you need to not be afraid to in advance present the different strategies and then how they each could play out and what like the pros and the cons there could be. So that way, if they choose to go with scenario 3 mm-hmm. for listing, you've had that conversation with them of this is, if we do this and this happens, these are our options for moving forward. So that it's not a surprise and that it doesn't feel like they're prepared for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
I call it sometimes testing the market.
Yeah. Well, and
price.
I mean, you can do that, and sometimes you kind of have to do that.
Right. Yeah. Right. Like, and ultimately, like, you want to get the listing. And while you can look at the data and you can show, these are the comparables. It sometimes happens where a seller wants to pick a price that is aspirational, and they get it, and amazing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So like, while we can look at the data, we can look at the trends, we can give recommendations, like there's, we're not in every buyer's mind. And there are things for certain homes that are going to go beyond, like for pricing and for where people are going to go with it, mm-hmm. go beyond like the logical numbers that you can pull. There's, there could be a buyer that's been waiting to get into this neighborhood because that's the neighborhood that they yep. want to be in. And they're like, we're getting this house.
And I've seen that happen
yeah.
many times. And, sometimes you get that buyer and they, like you've had, I think of one home we just sold where it was on the market a decent amount of time. We got that buyer up to a certain number and we knew it was kind of like the threshold the seller wanted. Mm-hmm. And they had a lower offer they turned down. So it made it more attractive. But sometimes it takes time. And I think that the reality here is that in the second half of the year, I do see some more liquidity coming to the market. I do see things opening up. If rates come down a little bit more, like imagine if we get to 6.5, I think yeah. that could be very positive. this bill, say what you want about it, I do think it's going to inject some life into the housing market. I think there's a positive mindset right now. People are more positive now than they have been over the past 18 months. And they also can't delay their life anymore. Right. So I think that all these things are happening. But you talked about like you got to go find the opportunities. And I think that's where you got to have a lot of conversations with folks if you're a real estate agent. You've got to be open-minded to maybe exploring other homes as a buyer. And there's going to be, I'd rather be in this market than wait till everyone to jump in next year. That's just my observation.
Right. I mean, I think you're always in the market that you're in, right? So like you can't just like wait, like if you're just like waiting for things to change, unless if you are solely doing this for fun and not as like a job that you need to make money from in order to live. You can't just like, you have to navigate with what you've got.
Yeah. And some perspective here, just for the people that are listening, especially the consumers. So here's the normal timing. And I'm not going to go to the NAR stats because the NAR stats to me are very skewed. They're from last year. Instead, I want to talk about this Redfin survey that was just done. So for seller timing, this was a May 2025 survey. 45% of sellers begin planning 3 to 6 months before listing, with just 25% acting within 1 month. And that's usually like,
I feel like it's even longer than
well, that's only 45%.
Oh, okay.
Right. And then they're 25% act within a month. And that's usually like, I got a job relocation.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody died, whatever.
Somebody died, whatever.
Well, I'm getting divorced. It's
something
more immediate.
happened that like you trigger it and it's got to happen quick.
So, and this is it. Look, these are surveys. I think of all the clients I've worked with that are like 3 years.
Yeah.
I've got a 7-year listing appointment in the making next week. I mean, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Buyers, the Redfin survey says 60% of buyers take 1 to 3 months to find a home, but that's just to find the home. And 20% take 6+ months. And you got to look at also like, what do they do before they want to even go out and look? And I think that's the decision-making process. So the people that are going to be transacting the second half of this year, they've been thinking about it for the first half of this year.
Oh, yeah.
That's really what I see happening. And that's the folks we're going to see come into the market, and then there's going to be like the job reloads and that sort of thing. So that's what I do see the market loosening up though, because I think a lot of people have been thinking about it for more than 6 months. It's been like 12 months or, they're like, oh, well, we're going to wait till we have our next baby. And then now they got like a 2-year-old and they got some other kids and they're like, we got to get out of here. Right. So
right.
I think that's a lot of what we're going to see in the second half of this year. You can't delay life. Life's
right.
going to keep happening.
For sure.
So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk about this DC 33 workers strike. I am appalled by this. I don't know if you've watched the news and seen some of these pictures. It's pretty bad. So we'll explain what that means for housing next on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
Local mortgage service and great rates on your
That was
money.
hysterical when you jumped in. I told Nick, I'm like, you got to pull this. This is the clip this week. No messing around.
40 years with a focus on smooth, easy access to home purchasing. Whether you're a first
I looked at the comps
upsizing,
for our
downsizing,
appointment
or
later.
just refinancing, we have programs for you. We also have closing
already
cost
told-
assistance
I think he said he
programs
wants
and
that.
access to subsidized
Thought it's
interest
whatever
rates.
Zillow says is what he's been looking at.
No costs or commitments.
His parents
To
are living
learn
there and they're
more,
moving.
Visit our website at
He wants to take the money and buy something else in, like,
or give us a
Jersey.
call at 610
Okay.
Or somewhere else. I don't know. He's a resident.
8000. We always have a person available.
He's not talking to anybody else.
Around the clock.
So we should be able to get this signed as long as his wife's there.
With the personalized local service you find at Mortgage America.
Put on these listings before I forget to.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income?
Are you going straight there?
Get my haircut in between.
Okay.
You gonna meet till 5:30?
Yeah. Okay.
If you're looking for some time to kill, I'm sure you can text your bestie Bridget.
The Tom Toole Sales Group.
It's like a weird time. You couldn't meet any sooner. So
with over 165 million in volume for 2021. I'm Tom Toole, and our team has achieved that kind of success by being a great place to work with and to work for. No one knows
how the steaks
greater
turn out you guys
better
are
than
making
we
on this.
do.
That sounded
know real
good.
estate, but more
Good,
importantly,
but
we're real
we
people.
realized
Hire the
like
best
Eric
agents
put
and
him
we give
on,
them all the
and
tools
then
to
like we'd been
succeed.
looking at the
Even our
propane
brand
tank
new agents
earlier in the
Oh,
day.
no,
And we
I
were like,
got-
I think there's enough propane.
Because
No,
our
there was
team
not. So we had to
delivers
finish them off
experience
one.
in real
Yeah,
estate.
no.
Teams
Like
deliver
yeah,
better experience
but
individuals, and
but they
we're
were
the top 1% real estate team in the
I got a
country.
backup
We
one.
call it AAA service.
Yep. Our
where your
shed doesn't
advocate,
it's not
ally,
close.
and
It's like
advisor.
outside.
Because this
the
isn't
ball in
a
my shoe. You can't even open the freaking thing. It's all there, and I'm like,
Oh, really?
I mean, I tried
Yeah.
like everything. It wasn't
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so I put it back and threw it up. It's in my closet.
Yeah. Well, it's also, so this is like Kristen's mom's beach house. So like we weren't sure
Yeah, you don't know. Yeah.
how often she's been using, like, you know what I mean? It's hard to tell.
You always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
I get it. Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Timon. We both work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line, the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And we're going to be talking about this worker strike for the sanitation department in Philadelphia. It's entering its second week, which is ludicrous. And then we've got some incredible new listings coming onto the market here. So if you get some value out of this, or you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. And if you want to schedule a call with our team and talk to Sarah specifically about how you can move out of the city if you got a bunch of trash outside, she can get your house listed very quickly. Just click on the link in the comments. So how much have you been following this worker strike here?
So like a little bit, but not, I'm like definitely not the most informed person on it.
I don't think a lot of people are unless you're in Philadelphia. I think that's that's really the issue here, and there's a lot of stuff going on. This is day 8 of this worker strike, and they're now. I mean, it's just it's insane to me. These dumping sites. There's been fires. LL Cool J did not perform at the Welcome America concert last week because he didn't want to.
Bad?
Well, no, he didn't want to cross the picket lines. But
okay.
I can appreciate what he's saying. It probably did smell bad down there.
I mean, especially like with the heat we've been having. Like,
well, there's been fires in some of these dumpsters, and now you're getting people taking advantage of the system where they're dropping off like couches, and you're seeing. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff happening here. So we're gonna break it down. So the short of this is that DC 33, it's District Council 33, and it's all about money right now. So there's these contract negotiations that are on again, off again. It's pretty unfortunate because these people haven't gotten a raise in a few years. And if you look at they've been averaging or the offer right now from the city is a 12 to 13% raise over 3 to 4 years, averaging 2.75% to 3% annually, is less generous than the wages secured by municipal workers in other U.S. cities, specifically LA, New York, and Chicago. And it's also a lot less than the raise the mayor got this past year, which I think is a contention point.
Well, and then wouldn't you also need to factor in, like, isn't there just like a normal increase to the cost of living year over year? So if you're going to give them this raise over the course of this number of years by this percentage, but then if you factor in what else they maybe should be getting, like just the cost of things on top of it, it's even less favorable.
And DC 33 isn't just the sanitation workers. It's also the water department, and it was 911 dispatchers. A judge ordered the 911 dispatchers to go back to work, which, I mean, that's probably the right thing to do. But I mean, there's like illegal dumping going on. These temporary drop-off sites are disgusting. I mean, if you look at like on social media or you watch like the news, I mean, it's there's residents are reporting unbelievable stench.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, it's been so hot. It would be so smelly.
And then you also got to worry about like rodents and rats and roaches. And, you know, there was a nursing professor highlighted all the health risks, noting that they're breeding grounds for vermin and they exacerbate like asthma and disease transmission. There's a lot of stuff going on. Imagine if you're looking at a home and you see one of these dumping sites.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what would you, like, you're showing a property and this is around the corner. I mean, no matter what you do, I mean, like, tell me all the things that you think could go wrong for a buyer looking in one of these neighborhoods that are close to the dumping sites.
Well, like, we don't know how long this is going to go on for. Like, we know eventually a resolution will happen and this won't always be what it is. But like, if it happened here currently, like, what if it happens again? And now, like, to that point, you know, sites could pop up other places. But like, I would also be a little bit concerned if you were near one of the sites, but not right there, that like, if this continues to like go on, that it's going to go beyond the dumping sites, and like, which I'm sure it already has. I mean, I saw something on there saying like, if you get to the dumping site and the dumpster is full, that you're not supposed to put it there. But if
guess
somebody
what?
walked down with their trash, you think they're not going to leave it there? Like, so yeah, I mean, I think it would be between the smell, the unknown, it doesn't look good. It's, and then the mice, the rats, like the other like animals that are going to pop up because of it. If you've got homes right there, they're probably going to try and get in your house.
Oh, they definitely will. And then I think too, it's not just local people moving. Imagine you're like, you've had a couple relocation buyers recently that are looking at like very high-end properties in the city of Philadelphia. Imagine this might turn off someone from moving here altogether.
Yeah.
And I don't think the mayor realizes this. And look, she's under a lot of pressure. But here's the facts: the DC workers, DC 33 workers earn an average of $46,000 annually, below the MIT estimated living wage of $48,000 for a single adult in Philadelphia, and way below the $81,120 a year needed for a family with one child. So I mean, and
these are people that are out like in all weather.
It's a hard job,
working very hard. Like, they deserve to be paid.
And the union is demanding a 5 to 8% annual raise over 4 years. That's aiming to address the gap. As you know, there's rising rent, rising housing costs, and you know, if the strike does secure higher wages, this might help the market in Philadelphia, because the market in Philadelphia is way slower than it is in the suburbs. That could boost some purchasing powers for these workers, because they all have to be city residents due to the residency requirements. So, I mean, it could, it could help some of these neighborhoods where they have a lot of excess inventory on the market. There's a lot of skepticism right now. I mean,
so who's from the dumping sites? Who's picking that up?
Nobody's picking it up right now. I mean,
nobody.
There was rumors. I didn't check the news today here, but I think they were bringing in out-of-state workers to get rid of this stuff, which kind of defeats the purpose of, why don't you just pay these people? I mean, you're spending money anyway.
Right. You're probably paying like a large surplus to bring them in.
This whole thing is wild. And then there's some other unions that have their contracts coming up. So you think they're not watching this. I got news for you. This is, there's I don't want to say pressure, but the DC 33 union, they've got to feel like they're holding the mantle here for the other contracts coming up. So I mean, but this could really damage a lot of things for a lot of. I mean, just imagine the homeowners there trying to sell their home, buyers. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Or what if you're one of these people trying to buy a home and you can't, and you're on strike? I mean, does that affect your ability to qualify for a mortgage?
Right. Well, I wonder, do they get? Will they get, once everything gets resolved? Will they get paid back for the time here, or that's just
that I don't know.
Like, gone. Interesting. Because how far into it are we now? 2 weeks?
This is the second week. It's day 8 or I think it's day 8, because it started. I think the contract was up the end of the month, and I mean, I think you're going to see that. It's going to. There's some skepticism around some of the city initiatives right now. Like, they have that home initiative aiming to create 30,000 affordable housing units. It should benefit these workers, but the feasibility is going to be questioned, because there was a post on X that notes, without insurance requirements such as program risk defaults, and the market rate housing remains out of reach for workers earning $46,000 a year. It's just not enough.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at best, you take that 4X rule, they're buying a home for $200,000. I mean, that doesn't really get you much in the current market. So this needs to Philadelphia needs to do the deal here and do the right thing. That's my view of this. I mean, being a trash person is a very hard job.
Yeah. And it's something that I think, as you just like expect that to be in any like city, really anywhere, like, oh, trash gets picked up. You know what I mean? Like, well, you have to pay them to do that. Because that's a hard job that you're doing in all types of weather.
Yeah, and then you look at, it's not just that, the water department, that's really important. Mm-hmm. Obviously, 911 operators. I mean, these are key city services, and I think there's going to be some localized pressure on the housing market right now. I mean, if I was planning on launching my listing, I might wait a couple weeks until this gets resolved.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff you got to think about, especially if you're near those trash drop-off sites. I mean, they have so many issues that are going on. And if they do get higher wages, I think that could help demand for some of the affordable housing, and it could help some of these neighborhoods where these folks live. But we're way below. Philadelphia's way below the comparable wages, so I think there's an undervaluation of the DC 33 workers, which is part of it, which is a problem. So I think that could hurt the market ultimately.
Right. I mean, and it's just like a shame that it had to like go to these like measures for it to be addressed. But I feel like that's often where things have to go for something to get done.
Plus, LL Cool J canceled. I mean, I wasn't watching the concert, but I mean, I think that's a big statement, and I know the mayor actually like got on the phone with him, and they had it was a she welcomed him back and all this other stuff, but I mean that's that brings a lot of commerce into the city. I mean that concert's kind of. You ever go to the Parkway concert?
No, but I know all about it.
It's not it's kind of a disaster if you ask me.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard on I think it was like on NPR today that somebody who was like disgruntled put the mayor's address, like made it public.
Well, that's also not cool.
Dump your trash here. Right. What they were saying is like we're currently in an age where like people are being shot in their homes for don't that's not cool. Like that's not I know you're mad, but that's not the way to go about it. But yeah, so things I think are like escalating.
Well, and they're negotiating today, so let's hope this gets resolved sooner than later. I mean, first it was take the deal. I mean, they've got to come up with a higher number here. I think part of the problem is Philadelphia's got a payable tax issue where they don't collect all the taxes that are actually due, like on properties and different things. So I think there's, it's a problem. I mean, that's why you need a balanced budget with the city. So. And I think it's one of the reasons why you see a lot of people moving out of the city for stuff like this. Can you imagine if you didn't have trash pick up at your house?
No. Like I feel did something happen a couple years ago with this?
This has been a long time.
Not to like this.
Like, well, sometimes it'll happen when there's like a snowstorm. They'll say, "Hold your trash for a week. We can't get out." I don't think there was anything a couple years ago, but
I remember in this like when we were in the city a couple years ago. I don't know what the whole like full situation was, but there was a period like it was like the dead of summer where it was just like so hot and it was just like, and that wasn't at all to this like degree, but it was like that I remember being like, oh gross, and then this is a whole nother level.
So there was this trash strike in 1938, one in 1944, one in the 70s, one in 86. That's
I'm guessing I don't think it was a strike. It must have just been like, I don't know if there was just like some.
I mean, it could have been during the pandemic for all we. I mean, because there was a lot of stuff that got stopped then. But the point is that this needs to get resolved, and especially it's never good to have these sites here. So anyway, let's hope this gets done by the time we're on the show next week. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We've got 5 incredible listings coming to the market: Chester County, Delaware County, Montgomery County, Bucks County. We're going to break them all down here next on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
With all the red tape when getting your mortgage from a big online bank. At Mortgage America, we have access to big bank money, but with the personalized and detailed service of a local bank. We are here in your community and ready to serve with fast settlements, low down payment options, and first-time homebuyer programs. Pre-approval is free, no cost. I just wanted to double check. Since we started a little bit late, if you want, we can go till 59 or.
Well, once we're done, we're fine. I mean, we have these things. I'll give you the hand signal.
Okay, I'll keep an eye out for a mortgage. You shouldn't have to sacrifice.
Maddie had her first swim class yesterday for this. Good. She got put in. It was just like I think yesterday they just kind of like evaluated the kids to put them in groups, and she got put in high end. Proud parent over here.
Get a free pre-approval now.
I feel bad your nephew and Leo didn't like hang out more on Saturday.
I think James is like a little bit shy. And
he was shy because I was like tossing the girls in the water. And then he'd like stand there. I'm like, "You want me to throw you?" And he's like, I get. I'm like,
yeah. Yeah, he's a little bit shy.
I'm warmed up now. I don't need to do this.
I couldn't remember how old Leo was.
He's 13 now.
Yeah.
$165 million of volume in 2021,
my cousin,
making us the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania and a top 1% team nationally. Our agents love us because we
Oh.
offer them a successful career, a great life, and an unbeatable culture. Agents who've been with us for at least a year.
Bridget gave me a little bit of a rundown, though.
Oh, yeah. Bridget told me.
Brand new agents average 17 to 24 sales a year. We offer proven systems and expert training. We help you set more appointments and sell more houses. Now,
she
here's
loves the way I
the
talk
offer.
about all this stuff.
If you don't have a real estate license yet,
I
we
love the
offer
gossip.
real
Oh my god, I
estate
can't believe there was that like
scholarships so you can get
lady
one for
fight
free.
that was breaking
Check
out.
it
I didn't
out
like
at
see it. Like I was right there, but then I guess I missed it.
Or visit
I'm
10 seconds. Max main line at
saw them a couple years ago, I'll
tomtoole.com.
tell you that.
That's tomtoolewithane.com. Get more out of your real estate career, and remember the real estate golden rule: you always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
All right. Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Timon. And we've got 5 incredible new listings we're going to share with you, as well as this week's open house schedule. So where do you want to start here, Sarah? Do you want to start with the property in Downingtown? I'll lead it off here.
Sure.
All right. So this home in Downingtown, it's 1879 Boulder Drive. This is a 2019 end unit. It's 1,780 square feet. It's located in West Bradford Township at the townhomes at Shannon Hill. 3 beds, 2.5 baths. This place is incredible. It's got a 1-car attached garage. Most importantly, you got to be careful in these townhome communities where you back up to thousands of homes. They don't have that problem here. They've got a ton of open space in the back. They got a finished basement that adds another 350 square feet. All high end upgrades, new countertops. It's a 5-year-old, 6-year-old house. Wide open floor plan. That's going to be on the market this Friday. These are all launching this Friday. Great property. $539,900. Incredible home, and all the last couple sold right around that number. So this should be a good value for anyone that's looking to get into Downingtown West specifically.
Yeah, and then we've got a nice single family here coming to the market in Media, also on Friday, 117 Locust Lane. This is a 3-bed, 1.5 bath, 2,208 square feet ranch, or like a raised ranch. And it looks to be in very solid condition here. Definitely, I mean, I'm sure a buyer may come in and want to do a couple updates or kind of tweak that, maybe update some bathrooms, kind of make things more to their taste. But definitely solid bones here. This one's being listed at $630,000.
Yeah, this is a pretty killer location because you're in Wallingford Swarthmore Schools, which I know is a big draw for a lot of people, but you're a couple minutes from Media Borough. So it's a nice mix there, and it's right off Baltimore Pike. So it's really nice location. That's also going to be open this weekend. They got 3 open houses there.
Oh.
So Friday the 11th from 4 to 7. Then you've got Saturday and Sunday 12 to 2. Saturday 12 to 2, Sunday 1 to 3. So a lot of opportunities to get into this property. It's a great listing right in Media at $630,000.
And the multiple opens for a summer weekend, that's just smart because people are agents are gone, people are out doing stuff. So it gives people a chance to get in.
And they might be back on Sunday from wherever they're going over the weekend. If they leave early, that's how we market things at the Tom Toole Sales Group,
That's
Sarah.
right.
So that's no surprise you thought it was smart. So we also got 84 Hunters Drive in Gilbertsville. So this is obviously a little further out. It's another newer townhome, gently used might be the best word. And this is a 3-bed, 2-full, 2.5-bath townhome. It's 1,440 square feet. This is 2 years old. So, I mean, basically like new. It's in Foxwood Ridge over in Douglas Township. It's 1,440 square feet. In terms of the condition of this place, it's got a walkout finished basement, all hardwood floors throughout. Very open floor plan. I mean, they got a big center island in the kitchen, white countertops, white appliances, so nice and bright. And that's also going to be open 11 to 1 on Saturday. A lot of custom woodwork, a lot of nice upgrades in here. This is a great looking property, and that's going to be marketed at $435,000. Another great one to check out. And it's also open on Sunday from 11 to 1. So we've got Saturday and Sunday 11 to 1 open houses there also.
Awesome. Then we've got one coming here in Sharon Hill, 711 Poplar Street. This is a single family home, a ranch, 3-bed, 1 bath, 1,170 square feet. It is listed at $280, and there will be an open house for this one on Sunday from 12 to 2.
I mean, that's a great value. I mean, a single family home under 300,000. I don't know where you're going to find that in most places. So, and especially like one floor living, I think that's going to appeal to a lot of folks.
And it's well maintained, and like good updates have been made to it. This could certainly be something that you just move right into.
Yeah, nice looking house for sure. It's also right by the some of the rail lines there. Hopefully they'll stay open with this SEPTA issue.
Yeah.
The last one we got, and we got some open houses too. We got 776 East Parker Street in Langhorne. This is a 2-bed, 1-bath condo. It's 1,125 square feet. $258,000 is the asking price. This is going to be open Saturday, 12 to 2. This property is another home that's in really great condition. You got all one floor living. It's got kind of an open, they open up the wall. There's some of these older condos. This is built in the 80s. They closed everything off. So they open up the wall. They got like a see-through breakfast bar. It's great value. I mean, right in the middle of Langhorne there, right off of, Business Route 1. So that's at $258,000. And we got a couple open houses as well, Sarah. So we got Indian Way in Malvern. This is priced at $1.995 million. It's going to be open Saturday, 11 to 1. This is an incredible property in Willistown. And the other home we have open is 116 Price Street, right in the borough of Westchester. There was just a price adjustment. They've got a new price on this home at $699,000. This is got parking, 5 bedrooms, just about 2,000 square feet. That'll be open Saturday, 11 to 1. So we got some great opportunities here for any homes you want to go check out. That's it for this week's episode. We're out of here. If you want to follow Sarah, she's at Ty_TyTime on Instagram. You can follow me at TomToole3RD. And we'll be back next week on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.